Do you know what's fun, Clint?
What's that?
Watching a Georgia football game. Do
That's
you know
very
what's
fun.
more fun?
Tell me.
Watching a Georgia football game again and again. We've watched the game a few times now.
We have.
And we have some observations. We overreacted on Saturday night, but now we've had time to digest some of those thoughts, to really process what we saw on the field on Saturday. Was Georgia as bad as they looked in the second half? Was Georgia as good as or in the first half, was Georgia as good as they looked in the second half? Let's talk about that today on the Locked On Bulldogs podcast.
You are Locked On Bulldogs, your daily podcast on the Georgia Bulldogs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back, everybody. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel,
Boy, I love them.
the official Locked On podcast sports book. More on them in a moment. Glad you all are here with us. We have further review. We have further review of a couple things. Yes, we've seen the Georgia game many times since Saturday.
Yep.
We
That's
have review of that. Some initial thoughts we had on overreaction Saturday, which you can go back and listen to and mock us. And by the way, South Carolina fan, y'all trying to clown us for being too confident, and we didn't cover. So you came on this podcast, you yelled at us because we were too confident. And then you came back and said, you're the joker because you didn't beat the spread.
Well, that's fine.
Okay.
Yep.
You're right.
I mean, again, I just
okay.
want to wish my heartfelt congratulations to Shane Beamer and his family, the entire South Carolina fan base, for winning the national championship of beating Georgia in the first half. Congratulations to you. You have done it. You have beaten Georgia in the first half. I know that Frank Beamer is proud of his son. I know that Shane Beamer has accomplished all of his goals. He will probably ride off into the sunset
His
and
vision
retire
board
now.
is complete.
It is.
Daniel.
So congratulations to South Carolina fans. You've done it. Shane Beamer, kudos to you.
Yeah.
Well done. We're moving on.
Okay. We're going to review Saturday for overreaction. We're going to revisit a few things. We're going to bring up a few other things that we learned about our fans, because fans, we learned some things about yourself. It's like looking into a mirror. Overreaction Saturday is like looking into a mirror.
It is.
And sometimes when you look at the mirror, you say to yourself, you need more sleep.
We need to make some changes.
I am not pleased with this. I need to make some changes. I'm going to look deep into a candle and ask you to do that. But Daniel, let's start here. Overreaction happened on Saturday. We came in, said Bobo was not as bad as people are making it. Carson Beck is fine. This defense stood the test in the second half. We were very pleased. I came out and said that I think the second half gave me more confidence in this team. Yeah. I am more sold out for this team running it. And many of you are not. Many of you saying we're not a playoff team. I beg to differ. That second half showed me that we are the best team still in all of college football. Now we're going to put it together for a whole game in the coming weeks. Daniel, what thoughts do you have upon further review and watching the game again and again and again?
First of all, not really a time to digest this fully, but please, someone, who is the best team in college football then? I submit to you all of college football. Now you tell me who the best team in all of college football is.
But see, this is the problem, Danny, because we're so used to the top four teams being the top four teams, and they're on a collision course for the college football playoff, and that's all that it is. And this is what I've been told: preseason numbers mean everything, and rankings and project.
See, the reality is that to make it into the playoff, you have to beat the teams on your schedule. There's something, there's some stuff, and there's 10, 12 teams that could make it into the college football playoff, I think, legitimately this year. Is Georgia a lock for the playoff? No, they're not.
No.
No team is ever a lock for the playoff. But Georgia is certainly one of those teams that's good enough to make their way into the playoff. Let me start here, and I hate to start negative town, but I have fewer things to say about this, and so I'm just going to kind of get it out of the way early. And then I have some thoughts on the offensive side of the ball, which maybe we'll get to in the second segment. But let me start here. We mentioned it casually on Saturday, but it deserves a whole moment to breathe. I never thought I would see the day that I've watched now a dozen different times Jamon Dumas Johnson adamantly refused to tackle a man who was running down the field and was his response. Just sort of gave him a little chicken wing and like watched him fall down. Like he wasn't sliding. He wasn't just, I have no idea still what I was looking at. But you combine that with the fact that Spencer Rattler, who is not even Stetson Bennett in terms of mobility, like he
Nowhere
is
near.
certainly not, the caliber of Alabama's starting quarterback. Alabama's former starting quarterback.
Try again. You'd have to specify.
Jalen,
there's now multiple.
He's not Jalen
former
Milroe.
starting-
Okay, sorry.
Thank you.
He's
Thank
not-
you.
I should have said this. He's not as mobile as Alabama's best quarterback by a mile that they refuse to play. He's average. He's got some average elusiveness. He squares up JDJ in a hole and absolutely puts his foot in the ground and makes him look like a fool. The performance from 10 specifically, I don't know whether to be concerned about it, confused by it, angry about it, sad about it.
Yes.
How should I feel, Clint?
So I went back and I was very, very specific on two fronts, looking for some anecdotal evidence. I needed some data points, offensive line and inside linebackers. So these are the two areas that I went to immediately. And Daniel, I'm here to tell you, you should be confused by the linebacker play.
Confused.
I'm so confused by the absolute hatred of good things. I have never seen people hate good things since Florida hired Sunbelt Billy and claimed him as the GOAT. Then when I saw JDJ decidedly work against his own team. And I'm confused by it because we've commented that he is cerebral, he is smart, he is a leader, and he is a sure tackler. These are the things that we love about him. And he had no skill, no thought, no follow through, no form. That was the weirdest, confusing play I have seen out of Pop in a very long time.
Two plays almost back to back on the heels of each other. And yeah, you just don't, it just makes you realize you haven't been calling 10's number very often this season. You haven't seen him involved on as many plays as you're typically used to seeing him involved on. You're seeing a guy like Tyke Smith, for example, seems to be at the bottom of every pile. Smile Mondon really flashed again on Saturday.
Mondon showed.
He seems to be getting back to form after coming back from injury. You saw a little bit from him. We've talked about CJ Allen before on this podcast. Obviously, the true freshman who did not get nearly as much run, obviously, against an SEC opponent, not to be, that was to be expected.
We're going to see a healthy amount of CJ Allen against UAB.
We've even talked about Xavier Sorey, Clint, and obviously Jalen Walker, who's more of a pass rush specialist at this point, but still plays that inside linebacker position. Haven't been saying 10's number a lot. And this is supposedly the heart and soul of this defense. The defense feels at times the defense is dominating statistically. The defense is dominating in large stretches of the game. But I don't think it's unfair, and maybe we come back in the second segment and I'll let you react to this statement. I don't think it's unfair to say the defense has looked flat at times, uninspired and flat at times this season. And it is a bit confusing why. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, and we will get to that and much more. I got some thoughts about Carson Beck. I got some thoughts about the offense, all coming up right after this.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Episode brought to you by BetterHelp. BetterHelp is a fantastic place. If you are looking into a candle, trying to find your heart and soul, what to do next in life, please, for the love of all that is good, blow out
make
the
a better
candle.
choice. Yeah.
Make a better choice. Daniel and I look into candles as a joke to try to see how we can prognosticate better, but BetterHelp is in fact the better place to go to find that help. Imagine that you were looking for advice on career or family or what to do in your next move. Instead of talking to your friend who has no idea, they're good friends, they're bad advice, help, therapy people. Good friend.
It's almost as if there are people out there for whom this is their job.
See,
It's to help people with these types of situations. If only you could find those people.
one great way to find out that decision-making process is to, in fact, go to BetterHelp. Get a break from your thoughts with BetterHelp. Right now, they are fantastic. Think about starting therapy. Give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime at no additional charge. BetterHelp.com/LockedOnCollege for 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnCollege. Okay, you said coming out of segment 1 that this defense looks flat, and this is going to sound so bizarre, but two things are happening right now, and I'm going to react to it by saying this. I still contend this defense can be the best Kirby Smart's ever had, and here's why. We are literally, not figuratively, not in my imagination.
Tune in, Trevor. Lean into.
By the way, again, literally my favorite thing so far on this entire podcast is we have somebody in the subtext thread named
calling back to a joke that's 5 years old.
Literally,
you
Trevor.
Love to see it.
It's my favorite thing in the entire world. We are leading statistically. If you look at the metrics, if you look at explosive plays, if you look at success, if you look at expected yards against, Georgia's defense is shutting fools down. Now, again, 14 points in the first half against the best SEC quarterback. You can shove it with the LSU love. Sincerely shove it. Mississippi State is a dog doo-doo fest over there. It's bad.
Correct.
Okay. Spencer Rattler is going to go in the first round. He's going to go in the first round. Somebody's going to trade up.
That doesn't mean he's not the best SEC quarterback currently, but I don't know if he's going to go in the first round. I agree with you that he's the best current SEC quarterback right now. I mean, other than Graham Mertz, obviously. Don't get carried away. Gator fans love Graham Mertz. They always have. They always will. They never bashed him one time.
Never waffled. This defense is statistically taking people out. Mm-hmm. South Carolina, a very good offense with Spencer Rattler. We thought the offensive line was going to have no stop against our defense. We're going to talk about the pass rush here in a second. Gerf, I hear you screaming into your headphones right now over on Twitter and such. But
Gerf's the kind of guy that listens to this podcast just on full volume, no headphones, just in the office. He just got it sitting in the cubicle and he just blaring that thing. That's the kind of guy Gerf is.
That is the kind of guy. And we're dominating fools, and we're talking about the middle linebacker who's supposed to be the heart and soul not being the heart and soul. We're talking about Javon Bullard being banged up in combined now, one whole game, maybe 1.5 games. We're talking about a defensive line that's still getting its feel. We're talking about a corner on one half of the field that we still don't have resolution on, and the other half who is right now very hot and cold. And we're dominating, and we have no problem doing so, and it's allowing Kirby to take chances on fourth down to change the play calling up. This defense is still giving me all the feels because we're playing absolutely poor by our standards, and yet we are dominating everybody we play. And I don't see that changing anytime soon. I only see it getting better, which gives me more confidence, Daniel.
Yeah, I don't. There's something about the defense that's not clicking with me yet. It's something about it. What
would if you had a magic marker that you can go ahead and just scribble in something and make it?
The marker is literally magic, or it's just a.
No, it's literally magical. It is not the brand.
It's not a magic marker. No. It's a magical.
It's a marker which is magical.
Okay, interesting.
Okay,
you have my attention.
What would you do to change this defense?
I do think, to Gerf's point, I think more consistent pass rush specifically off the edge. And I'm not thrilled overall The depth in the secondary is obviously not there. It's non-existent. I think we've seen guys, we saw David Daniel lost several different times in this game.
Yep.
We have seen, we've seen Dalen Everett just playing off coverage and just getting driven back on a stop route, where he just is, the receiver puts his foot in the ground and, Everett is stumbling backwards for 2 or 3 steps before he has time to start to break back towards the ball. It's an easy pitch and catch. We've seen things like that. Chaz Chambliss, I'll just say, just to say a name out loud, I'm not pleased with what Georgia's getting on the edge. Like, if these are the best options that Georgia has on the edge, I feel like I came into this season thinking that there were going to be better options, that there was going to be more inspired play. Now, again, you're nitpicking and you're really and then I think I go to Pop in the middle. Like that's supposed to be the link of the chain that holds everything together. And I think right now it's lacking a little bit. I don't see the consistency, the consistent ability to dominate deep offenses the way that I think I hoped to so far this year. Now, again, early in the season, dealing with injuries. And so we shall see what comes of it. Where do you want to go next in a conversation on further review when you look at this game?
Saw this on Twitter. If I don't give you the credit, I apologize. But Daniel, people are up in their feels. Again, Mike Bobo cannot do anything good for these folk. I went back and watched again that drive coming out of the half for the offense. And I thought it was, again, surgically designed by by Mike Bobo, a.k.a. Todd Monken 2.0.
Yep. Ravens are 2-0, by the way.
Who saw that coming?
Spoiler alert. We all said that.
If I were to ask you how many screens Bulldogs ran last year up to this point, how many would you imagine, give or take, plus or minus the amount of screens we've ran this year up to this point? So the same data set.
Feels like this year we're just dinking and dunking. And so probably a lot more screens than we ran last year when we had the greatest quarterback in the history of college football at the helm.
Yeah. Same exact number.
Oh, that's interesting.
Huh. Isn't that funny how that works?
That's interesting.
Now, once Dejon Edwards and Bell were the only running backs of note and Cash getting in there for the touchdown, did we see a change in entire offense feel, Daniel?
I believe we certainly did.
Same place, same running, same inside run, as all of you are complaining. Oh, Mike Bobo only knows how to inside run. Oh, Mike Bobo this. It's the same exact plays
with competent players.
And the product is incredible.
It's much better.
So I'm doubling down. I'm doubling down on this defense. I'm now doubling down on Mike Bobo.
Yikes.
You all are outside of your minds.
It's spoiled is the word, I believe, that
I said
that.
I said that last time, on Overreaction Saturday. I'm doubling down on it.
And it's never going to go away. We said it on the podcast before. It's never going to go away. So just Georgia fan, I don't know if you're not one of the people that insists on blaming Mike Bobo for the fact that you got, a parking ticket, or, that your wife left you, or whatever it is that you're dealing with right now.
Georgia fans are the people that when you make a point about something, a decision you're making at work, you're the person that goes, okay, story time. I got to tell you about this one time 10 years ago at another company. I had a bad experience with the thing that you're suggesting.
Right. You're like, hey, what if we eat burgers tonight for dinner? Well, let me tell you about a burger that I once ate. Gave me food poisoning.
Bad night.
It was this burger insisted on running a draw on third and forever. It's just maybe at some point breathe a little bit if you're a Georgia fan.
Oxygenate the blood,
I do think this about the Georgia offense. No, I'm going to save it. We'll get into the third segment right after this.
199.
Right after this 199. We'll be back.
Daniel, you like brews?
I love me a nice cold brew on a hot day. You think fall is here, but you live in the South. It ain't here yet. Okay. Temperatures are still up. You're still going to be outside. You're at a tailgate.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, let me ask you, alcohol, does it hydrate the body? Is that a good source
Many
of
of you
hydration?
don't understand how the body works. It does the exact opposite, Daniel.
Oh, so it sucks all of the life out of your body.
It's quite literally what it does.
But I love a nice cold brew. But what if I could get my favorite brews in a non-alcoholic form? Award-winning non-alcoholic beers from athleticbrewing.com. These brews are placed side by side with alcoholic beer in taste tests and win. You understand what we're trying to say? It's all of the great things that you love. An IPA.
It's almost like Todd Monken and Mike Bobo were side by side, and the one that doesn't have alcohol that you're moaning and complaining about tastes better.
But you refuse to see that. Athleticbrewing.com will open your eyes. Use the code Locked On for 15% off your first order. Again, these are fantastic. They're award winning, and Clint and I love them.
We do. You can find Athletic Brew non-alcoholic brews at a store near you or buy online at athleticbrewing.com. Find the customer code. Use promo code Locked On to get 15% off your first order. That's code Locked On at checkout for 15% off. athleticbrewing.com. Near beer, exclusion and conditions apply. Athletic Brewing Company, fit for all times. You tease the 199.
Carson Beck, 199. Let's talk about the old quarterback position. Love to have you here. Love that all of you are here.
Y'all the best.
Y'all are the best 199 listeners that this podcast has ever known. We appreciate each and every one of you. Here's my observation about Carson Beck, and I think other people may have said similar things. Again, I'm not the only one. I'm not purporting this as like I'm the only one who thinks this way, but Carson Beck looks like a guy. He is doing everything well as a quarterback.
His entire job.
He's efficient as a quarterback. He's, according to the coaching staff, which I don't know why they would know any better than we would, but according to the coaching staff, he's doing a great job of getting Georgia into the right play, making the right checks, doing all of the pre-snap reads, line of scrimmage stuff. He's commanding the huddle. I mean, you look at Georgia's pre-snap penalties, procedural penalties, a lot of that stuff, like delay of game. Have you seen Georgia burn a bunch of timeouts as the play clock was about to expire? Like, you look around college football, you look at all the stuff that's like that you see on a typical, day in and day out basis. Carson Beck is doing all of the things right. He obviously has a big arm. He's made some big throws. He's hitting open receivers. He's been efficient with his distribution of the ball. All of these things. I have been a big proponent of defending Carson Beck. He is the best quarterback on this team.
Feels like a setup's coming, y'all.
No, he is the best option for Georgia. And so all of those things are still true. Everything that I just said is still true. I'm now going to give you, upon further review, the one thing that I will concede to you. When I look at Carson Beck, this is what I feel like I'm seeing that I wish I wasn't seeing.
Okay. I now understand. I do.
This is not a bait and switch. I'm still pro Carson Beck, but this is the thing that I'm going to say. If you want to complain about something about Carson Beck, this is the thing that I'll hear you complain about. And that is this. It appears to me when I watch Carson Beck, like I am watching a quarterback who is trying not to lose the starting quarterback job. It appears to me, and I cannot believe, like if you had given me betting odds on whether or not I would be saying this phrase after 3 weeks of the season with Carson Beck,
gosh,
I would never have taken those odds. But what I really wish would happen is
listen to this next statement.
I wish Carson Beck would stop trying to not turn the ball over. And I wish he would just throw it.
Like, it is evident, Daniel, that is clearly Kirby Smart had it was like Kirby's telling him that he could marry his daughter, but don't screw with her or I will kill you. He sat him down to dinner. He said, if you throw interceptions, I will end you.
I will kill you.
And Carson Beck said, I know my marching orders. This is the only thing I can do. To succeed, don't throw interceptions.
And we say that not out of speculation. Kirby has made it abundantly clear it's literally the only thing that he cares about with a quarterback. And so it's not like it's Kirby has some responsibility in this relationship clearly as well. And Mike Bobo as well as the offensive play caller, quarterback coach, blah, blah, blah. But at some point, Carson Beck needs to feel like he's the Georgia starting quarterback. And all offseason, it was if Carson Beck can just not turn the ball over, Georgia's going to be fine. If Carson Beck can just not turn the ball over, Georgia's going to be fine. Yeah. Oh, gosh, what if he turns the ball over? He's got a propensity to try to make a hero throw. And we said all these things.
I'm raising my hand
and now,
because I am guilty.
Guess who the spoiled people are that have completely forgotten all of the things that we were worried about. And now we've seen Carson Beck try not to turn the ball over. And we realized, you know what, Carson, it's kind of better when you just get back there and rip it. And are you going to make some throws that you probably shouldn't make? And are you going to throw it into a window that you think you can fit the ball through, but you probably can't fit the ball through? And are you probably going to turn the ball over or miss a receiver or make a throw that you probably shouldn't have made? Yeah, you probably are. Yep. But I think a lot of Georgia fans feel the same way I do, where I would love to see it, though. I would love to see you do it.
See, I was watching Colorado State, Colorado to end the night. Mm-hmm. And everybody up in their feels about Sanders being the best talented guy. He's talented.
He's very talented.
Don't give me. But the number one trait that makes him successful, he throws the ball, and you could look at the film afterwards and second guess and be like, oh, there's no window there. His receiver's not open. The coverage is too tight. But you know what? He has the confidence to be like, screw it, I'm slinging it. And it's not, screw it, he's somewhere down there, I'm going to toss it. The window is closed, but he trusts his receiver.
That's the Joe Milton throw.
That's the it begins with a 9. And he's down because he's on a knee. So the play doesn't even exist.
Let's call timeout real quick and talk about Joe Milton some more. Let's just call. I know the podcast is almost over.
It's almost over.
Literally nothing good that can happen, but give me a timeout.
I watch Sanders, and the thing that's impressive about him, he can spin it, he can sling it. He is talented, but his number one trait is he just throws it in there. And he says, go get it, receiver. Like, I trust you. Go get it. Carson Beck needs some of that.
We need more of that from Carson Beck. He's not playing scared. He's not checking down too many times. I think people are using that term Carson Beck is checking down, and he needs to throw the ball, quote unquote, throw the ball downfield.
That's right.
I don't know. Just tell me that you've never played football or specifically quarterback without telling me that you've never played football or specifically quarterback before. When you think throw the ball downfield is part of it's just something you can choose to just do. I don't think there's a lot of checking down that's happening. I think a lot of times when he makes these short throws, that's the first read on the play. Those plays, plays are being called.
Yes.
So that Georgia can pick up easy yards on the perimeter. They're not being called to get an explosive play.
Quick little look ahead to tomorrow's podcast. If you look at the first 2 games, Y motion, flat little rollout was a staple before we hit South Carolina. You didn't see that Y motion nearly as much before. Because again, the playbook isn't increasing, or stop with that. It's emphasis. It's importance. It's where we think we can attack. Okay. So those plays that we're seeing him do, it was clear as day. Mike Bobo thought that the soft underbelly of South Carolina could be attacked, and they were the first reads. And he was right, because the screens, the soft underbelly were working in the second half.
Yeah. Also, the offense in the first half was not as bad as you thought it was.
Not as bad.
Go back and watch the offense in the first. It just wasn't as bad as you thought it was. I want to see Carson get back there and rip it. That's what he does the best. And stop trying to not turn the ball over. Again, something I never thought I would say to this point in the season about Carson Beck. But
so Daniel is saying he hopes for 2 interceptions against UAB.
2 interceptions. Let's do it, Blazers. Come in here and just take it from us.
This has been Locked On Bulldogs, part of Locked On Podcast. Now, we're your team every day. We'll be back tomorrow talking about them Dogs. We'll see you guys then.